Like an angel in the morning, shooting star across the night. The most beautiful girl I've seen in all my life. Every second spent with you is like a day that starts brand new. Girl, I'm so amazed at all the things you do. Yes, I wanna build my whole world around you. So I promise you forever and for always. Girl, you are my sunshine, baby. Don't you go away. I want me, all over me, around me, I love you. I will love you forever. I want me, all over me, around me, I love you. I will love you forever. I hear music in your words and in the way you call my name. When you're by my side, I can't do anything. You're my best friend, you're my lover. Without you, no one else would do. Through thick and thin, I know we'll make it true. Yes, I wanna build my whole world around you. So I promise you forever and for always. Girl, you are my sunshine, baby. Don't you go away. I want me, all over me, around me, I love you. See, I will love you forever. I want me, all over me, around me, I love you. I will love you forever. My baby, you are my sunshine, my love and my essence. There's no one like you. My baby, you are my sunshine, my love and my essence. There's no one like you. You are me, all over me, already alive. Say I will love you forever. Oh, me, all over me, already alive. Say I will love you forever. My sugar, my honey, my lover, I will love you forever. My baby, my lover, and my best friend, I will love you forever. I place no woman above you. I will love you forever. I promise to always love you, baby. I will love you forever. And there's no one other girl to love. I will love you forevermore. And ever and ever and evermore. I will love you forever. Cause you are my baby, my sunshine. I will love you forever. And when there's nothing more to say, I will love you forever. Like an angel in the morning, shooting star across the night. The most beautiful girl I've seen in all my life. Every second spent with you is like a day that starts brand new. Girl, I'm so amazed at all the things you do. Yes, I wanna build my whole world around you. So I promise you forever and for always. Girl, you are my sunshine, baby. Don't you go away. I want me, all over me, around me, I love you. I will love you forever. music in your words and in the way you call my name. When you're by my side, I can't do anything. You're my best friend, you're my lover. Without you, no one else would do. Through thick and thin, I know we'll make it true. Yes, I wanna build my whole world around you. So I promise you forever and for always. Yeah, you are my sunshine, baby. Don't you go away. Yeah, I won't be all over me. Already alive with me. Say I will love you forever. Yeah, I won't be all over me. Already alive with me. I will love you forever. My baby, you are my sunshine, my love and my essence. There's no one like you. My baby, you are my sunshine, my love and my essence. There's no one like you. You are me, all over me, already alive. Say I will love you forever. Oh, me, all over me, already alive. Say I will love you forever. My sugar, my honey, my lover, I will love you forever. My baby, my lover, and my best friend, I will love you forever. I place no woman above you. I will love you forever. I promise to always love you, baby. I will love you forever. And there's no one other girl to love. I will love you forevermore. And evermore. I will love you forever. Cause you are my baby, my sunshine. I will love you forever. And when there's nothing more to say, I will love you forever. Forever and ever and ever and ever. I will love you forever.
All right, we will need to start right away while others join afterwards. We'll continue our conversation today on the anatomy of relationship and marriage. And today we are discussing promiscuity. Promiscuity. We are in a very, very changing world, and a lot of things are changing in our world that we must be very much conscious of. We need to be very conscious of this because it's going to a large extent, determine what becomes of us afterwards. The fact that promiscuity is becoming a common phenomenon should be a cause for concern. You know, I was talking to someone recently and I asked him, he's about to get married, and I said, if your wife is a guy, if your wife cheats on you, you must be ready to forgive if you are getting married. And that this is a possibility, and that if you are not the type that will be able to forgive such an action, I think it's better not to be married, because if it happens, it can be very hurting. And you don't really have control over this because things do happen. Things do happen. In fact, the chance of this kind of issue happening is higher in our world today than ever before. And the reason is because of the level of the exposure that people now have by virtue of being online. By virtue of being online. The youth of the generation are faced with a greater challenge of choosing a life partner when they have followed practices and not principles. And this has led to the situation where you have a high rate of divorce and paternity fraud. So when you see a high rate of divorce, sometimes people are not getting satisfaction in their marriage. They are emotionally drained. and they are seeking for succor somewhere else, and that increase the level of infidelity and thereby leading to paternity fraud. So the goal of this program is to help everyone that will be part of this to get it right in this critical area of their lives. You will hear some uncommon ideas in this program about marriage, but please note that these are based on research, they are based on scriptures, they are based on statistics, they are based on science, and they will help you align with the current reality of our time. Listen with an open mind, and you should also go back and do your research and check some of these thoughts to be sure that they are so. You know, we shouldn't be human beings, fully grown adults that just hear things and don't meditate or think about it or even check if necessary, just to ensure that whatever you are hearing is not just an idea or opinion of one person. You know, every time, particularly in religious organization, when people speak, there's an agenda. When you are in a religious organization and someone is speaking to you, or you are in a, if you are in an organization, either religious, not religious, it's an organization. The organization have a goal. So whatever they say has an agenda, either you like it or not. So sometimes they will say things to be able to fit into their own agenda. So for example, some religious organizations have the way they go about marriage, and they want everybody to pass through that, to fit into that, and they will tell you things that will make you to fit into that. Now, that means that most of the things they say does not necessarily mean it's right, does not mean it's wrong also, but they are not based on principle. It's just for you to follow a particular practice. It's just for you to follow a particular practice. And it's very important you understand that every time you go for a program organized by a body, the body have a vision, the body have a goal. Everything they do is done with an agenda. Immediately you have this at the back of your mind, it helps you in the way you receive what is being said, and you might need to go back and audit what is being said, because you know they have an agenda. The agenda can be for good, the agenda can be for other reasons. Now, and this is very important. Have you ever wondered why people are ready to die for the sake of their religion? It's because they have been scripted. It's because they have been conditioned. And the person that conditioned them have an agenda. They have an agenda. Like Boko Haram, for example. They will strap themselves with bomb and kill themselves. They have an agenda. The people making them to do that have an agenda. Even the person that strapped himself to kill himself is not even aware that people that are talking to him have an agenda. Agenda of terrorism, to be able to achieve an objective or get government to do something they want. I'm basically saying that when you listen to seminars in organization, which is why for this particular platform, we are not building association, we are not building congregation, we are not building, which is why even if one person is around, we still go ahead. Why? Because the goal actually is not for people to belong to a group. The goal is to be able to support people with necessary information that can help them to be able to live a fulfilling life on the earth, such that they are able to live a life that at the end of their life, they can say, thank God for the kind of life I've lived. Today, we'll be looking at the problem of adultery, and that's why I term it promiscuity. The problem of adultery in relationship and marriage. We'll be looking at the causes and how to prevent it, and also how to heal. The reality of our world is that you stand the risk of being cheated upon or even you cheating on your spouse when you go into marriage. That is the reality of our world. That is the reality of our world. If you have learned to keep yourself before marriage, you reduce the risk of that reality, because that means you have been able to master a particular lifestyle that helps you to keep yourself. And because you have mastered it, most likely it will continue in marriage. But if you have not mastered it and you found yourself to engage in premarital sex, the chance of cheating on your spouse become very high. And the reason basically is because you are engaged in premarital sex. That means you are not able to keep yourself. And that means the same situation that presents himself to you before then can present itself to you again. That means you have to be more guarded. Now, unfortunately for many, the foundation of adultery has been unconsciously laid while they were single. The foundation of adultery has been unconsciously laid while they were single. While they were single, the foundation of adultery was already laid because they were single and engaging in premarital sex. Since they do not see anything wrong with sex at this stage, they unconsciously prepare themselves for cheating in their marriage. They unconsciously prepare themselves for cheating in their marriage. When you ask intending couple about what they will do if their partner cheats on them, they will say, over my dead body. And I tell them, anytime I counsel a couple of young people that are about to get married, and whenever I meet with them and I talked about this and I said, be ready to forgive your spouse if he or she cheat on you. Be ready to forgive your spouse if she or he cheat on you. It's a tough one, very tough one. But have that mindset ab initio. Prepare your mind for it. Someone say prepare for the worst, expect the best, prepare for the worst. Expect the best, prepare for the worst. You're not expecting this to happen to you, but what if it happens? Just what if it happens? Just what if it happens? So this is not a good answer when they say it's over my dead body, because it is better you expect the best and prepare for worse rather than only expect the best in your relationship. Adultery is a human tendency and it's a global problem. It happens in many countries, and now it's even getting worse because of sexual perversion that are pervaded our society. So, people coming online to talk about sex is no more a shameful thing. It's no more street things that people say they do. In fact, some channels are popular for this. As in some channels, they are known. Some YouTube channel, some Facebook page, some Facebook group are popular for this. Now, in recent times, I don't know if you have been seeing it, I've been seeing online, they call it loyalty prank. I don't know if some of those things are true, but I've seen some people cry, real cry. So I want to assume to some extent, some of those things are true. They call it loyalty prank. And you know what happened in this loyalty prank? A guy, someone will be asked to call. You see two ladies who are friends. They will meet this Facebook or this comedian or this Facebook celebrity who is okay. I want to conduct a loyalty prank on you. Is he your best friend? He said, yes, it's my best friend. They are both girls. And he said, okay, you call his boyfriend. The lady called her boyfriend. They called their boyfriends. And in fact, there was one, when they dialed the number on the lady's phone, the boy used to save it, like something like sweetheart, one word that shows he has relationship already. The other friend was saying, what is this? Why did you say my boyfriend with this name? I think, these are people who are, like I said, I don't know if some of these things are real, but the reason why I have cause to believe a few of them is, there was a particular one, the lady was crying and rolling on the floor because he was dating a guy who who he helped. She helped this guy. Eventually, the guy was transferred from Port Harcourt to Lagos, and the guy decided to go and marry someone in Lagos. So this lady, he conducted a reality prank on the guy, and they called the guy in fact, some of them, they will call them like, your girlfriend say I should give you a gift. They will not know which of the girlfriend. So they will not ask, what's the name of your girlfriend? He will mention like 3 names. And the name is never near the person who is giving the gift. What I'm trying to say is that the society today has prepared enough ground for infidelity. Enough ground. With what we see online, with the kind of pictures and videos, with the kind of things that people do, and the fact that people don't see anything wrong again in having premarital relationship, premarital sex. And like I said, premarital sex is already setting you up for cheating in your marriage. Because that means you don't see anything wrong with having sexual relation with someone you are not married to or outside someone you are married to. Let me start by saying that adultery is very real. By saying that adultery is very real. It's more real than you can imagine. Adultery is more real than you can imagine. So do not live in denial of the possibility of adultery. Do not live in denial of the possibility of adultery. Adultery is also preventable if, as human beings, we understand that we are vulnerable to this and therefore put safeguard in place. Adultery is preventable if we know as human beings that we are vulnerable and therefore put preventive measure in place. Don't expose yourself unduly. You can't be strong. You are a human and there is blood running in your vein. So you can't expose yourself unduly. You can't expose yourself unduly. So you must put safeguard in place. I told my colleague in the office, you don't knock to enter my office. You do not. I tell them my office is not a shrine. Open at any time. Open at any time. You should be free to be able to open because there's nothing to hide. Put safeguard in place. Put safeguard in place. There are many people who believe in polygamy, but they are engaging in monogamy because of what the society will say. This is one of the biggest challenges in our society today. Some people will even defend it with the Bible. If I saw a lady the other day on Instagram, he said, do you guys know that the man after God's own heart, and by that, he was talking about David, and even the wisest man, by that, he was talking about Solomon. He said, look, these guys are polygamous. And some will say men are polygamous by nature. I think so many things. So as Africans, the truth is that our culture is polygamous in nature. That's the truth. And the reason for this is because those days, the rate of what they call abiku, mortality, what do you call it now? Child mortality rate is high because we don't have enough drugs and technology today to help prevent some of those deaths. Can you imagine people dying of jaundice at birth? Imagine people dying because of rhesus factor. Now, these are things today that technology are fixed, medical technology are fixed. So they tend to have more wives because they need more kids because some might not survive. Some will die, actually. But more importantly, also, they have more wives with more kids for labor. And then they also believe that there is no, some people will do well, some of them will not do well. So for security in their old age, so that at least one or two will do well, then they have more children. I think different reasons. So by culture, we become polygamous. So here now comes Christianity that preaches monogamy. So a person who was already polygamous in nature, polygamous in mindset, polygamous in everything, is forced to be monogamous. Rather than say, look, oh, you want to marry the lady? Tell the lady, sorry, oh, I can't marry one wife, I marry 2 or 3. Tell the lady up front. So the lady will say, okay, sorry, I can't do that. Then the lady will know, you will back off, and then you can marry. I mean, Oni of Ife used to have just 1 wife. Now he's having about 7 wives. And people are applying to become his wife. Those ladies applying don't mind being in polygamous marriage. So we shouldn't deceive ourselves. If as a man you want to be polygamous, then you have to drop your Christian values and just do what you want to do. You don't use Bible to defend yourself. If you are going to apply Bible correctly, he said, in the beginning, it was not so. When God created man, he created man and woman. He didn't create many wives for Adam. That already told us God's plan. It's supposed to be 1 man, 1 wife. But society have evolved over time and some things have changed. That does not change the stand of what I will use the word Christian God, because there are other beliefs about other gods that don't mind having more wives. But what I'm basically saying is that if your belief is against it, then you have to find a way to manage the situation. Do not believe in polygamous and go and marry a lady who believe in monogamy, and then you are cheating on her. So there are people in our society who want to marry 5 wives. Imagine that in our society, a man that wants to marry 5 wives is not going to disclose ahead. If you want to marry more, disclose to your wife that I like to marry 5 wives. The woman now have a choice if she wants to go ahead or not. There are cultures that permit polyandry. What's polyandry? Polygamy, a man with many wives. Polyandry, a woman with many wives. A woman with many wives. I'm sorry, many husbands. A woman with many husbands. So there are society or culture that permit polyandry. So the woman can state this ahead to the man that she would like to marry more than 1 man. And it will now be a choice of the man, if he likes, to go ahead. It's not be a choice that the man will have to make. Please note that adultery does not just happen. It always have an underlying problem, either from the history of sexual molestation, or from premarital sex, or from neglect of the partner. You know, some ladies do not understand. You know, if you're a lady, if you are not ready for sex, don't get married. I heard of a story of a lady who will tell the husband is a Christian, the husband is even a pastor. The husband have to choose a date in the year, three days of the year for sex, 3 days. He will choose the date in January. This is a true life story. He will choose the date. And the woman knows the husband will not go out. But the woman, some women, because of some issues in their life, especially for someone that have been violated sexually, he might even hate men, and he's going to marry. Neglect by partners and undue exposure without safeguard, among others. There is a lady who says she will only give her husband sex twice a year. And the husband have to choose the day because the lady prefer to touch herself. Listen to that. The lady actually masturbates. Today There are sex toys. There are sex toys. There are dildo. You know, ladies that use dildo don't know what they are doing to themselves. They don't know. Because what toy will do for you, I'm not sure a man might be able to do it. And because a man might not be able to do it, in the bid to go back and have that experience of that sexual satisfaction, he is forced to go and be using a dildo, even though she's married. You know, when we're discussing the other time, sexuality, the issue of sexual pleasure in marriage, not adultery like we're discussing today, I mentioned that if you have sex before marriage, you create a neural pathway in your mind. Anything you do for the first time, not just sex, anything you do for the first time, you create a neural pathway in your mind. You create a neural pathway in your mind. Now, that neural pathway you create in your mind, that neural pathway you create in your mind will remain there. It will remain there. The day you marry, so that means if you have had 5 body count, 10 body count, I saw one video on Facebook, these people will be asking, how many body count do you have? He said he has, which one is larger, your body count, your age? He said she has 22 body count. That means as a lady, she has slept with 22 men. That the brain is already full of different experiences. Look, there is no way that person can be faithful in marriage. I don't know how it was going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen. Now, that sexual experience is in the brain. Now, because it is in the brain, registered in the brain, whenever you now marry and you are meeting with your husband sexually, you are going to remember that experience. Now, that experience had to be less pleasurable than your husband or your wife. If that experience is more pleasurable, the previous experience is more pleasurable than the relation you are in right now, you run the risk of dissatisfied and hence begin to look for alternative or live the rest of your life in pain and misery if sex is a big deal for you. To some people, sex is not a big deal for them. They can even do without sex. They can do without it. Some, it's a big deal because of the way they've lived their life. So if a lady has been using dildo, masturbating, touching herself, or a guy has been doing that to himself, it's going to play out in marriage. Because the sexual pleasure you already derive from those activities, you might not experience them when you are married. And sincerely, some school of thought have accepted that using those things when you are married, or even when you are married, is cheating. Some school of thought believe it's cheating on your spouse, even though it's not with a man or a woman, but with a thing. So this lady prefers to touch herself. She will say that she knows the husband will not go. This is a real life, true life. She knows the husband will not go to cheat on her. She knows the husband will not go to cheat on her because he's a Christian. There is no statistic to show that men cheat more than women. But recent data have shown that women actually cheat more than men. And it looked like women actually find it easy to hide more than men. But data, research is showing that women actually cheat more than men. Women actually cheat more than men. But it seems as if, and you see this in, there was a research that showed that in Nigeria today, I think 1 in every 5 marriages, the first child is not the husband, the man's child. The first child is what do you call it? The first child is from another man as a paternity fraud. And this is 1 in every 5 marriages. In Nigeria, 1 in every 5 marriages. And like I said, this is also leading to breakup. I'm trying to check that study. I'm trying to see if I can get that report. Nigeria ranked second highest in paternity fraud in the world. Nigeria ranked second highest in paternity fraud in the world. Nigeria ranked second highest in paternity fraud in the world. Why? If it's paternity fraud, obviously it's from the women. Meanwhile, in Nigeria, according to available data, at least 4, look at this, 4 out of 10 men are not the biological father of their children. 40% of men, 40% of married men are not the biological father of their children in Nigeria. That will tell you the level of promiscuity in our society. The level of promiscuity in our society. Now, let's look at the word adultery. Let's look at the word adultery. It's interesting that the word adultery is from a Latin word called adulterie. Adulterie. It was borrowed from the Anglo-French avoutrier, going back to Latin adulterium, from adulteriae. And it means to defile by adultery, to commit adultery with, to pollute, to debase, to corrupt by adding inferior material or element. That the root word of adultery means to debase, to corrupt, to pollute by adding inferior material or element. This means to make inferior what is authentic by adding inferior element to it. That is very profound. That is very profound. So what you do in adultery is to adulterate your marriage. To adulterate your marriage with an inferior fabric. With an inferior fabric, otherwise called a cheating partner. Otherwise called a cheating partner. Adulterate your marriage with an inferior fabric, otherwise called a cheating partner. So as we discuss relation and marriage, it's very important we understand issue around this issue of adultery that is pervasive in our society. Please note that adultery is different from infidelity. Adultery and infidelity are not the same. Adultery is narrow to only physical act of sex, while infidelity includes sex or emotional connection like sexting or exchange of nudes. So infidelity includes adultery plus emotional connection with someone else you're not married to, or emotional connection to a teen, otherwise called sex toy, or exchanging your nude, which is very common nowadays, with the other partner. Cheating transcends physical act of sex. There are people who are touching themselves and will not allow their husband to touch them. They will not allow their husband to touch them. There are those who cheat with the pants of opposite sex by playing with it, with their sexual organs. You know, have you ever wondered why Jesus' definition of adultery was more comprehensive? He says, if you look lustfully at a opposite sex, at a woman, with the intention of sleeping with them, meaning you have already done it in your mind. You have undressed them and actually slept with them in your mind. Because the most powerful sexual organ is your mind. The most powerful sexual organ is your mind. The most powerful sexual organ is your mind. If you sleep with them in your mind, and you can actually come, you can ejaculate, you can come sleeping with people in your mind. And Jesus said, you have already done it. There are cultures around the world where women are the ones that are permitted to marry more than one husband. Now, what will you say about that culture? There are cultures in the world where it is the women that are permitted to marry more than one husband. There is a culture in Nepal another culture in India, another culture in China, where women are the one permitted to marry more than one husband. And in those cultures, divorce is very, very rare. A person that grew up in this kind of culture is already predisposed to having a relationship with more than one husband. So even when they become Christian, they will have this tendency in them. And this should not be shocking. A statistic showed that 74% of men and 74% of men and 68% of women agree that they will cheat on their partner if they have the guarantee they will not be caught. 74% of men and 68% of women agree that they don't mind cheating on their partner if they know that they will never be caught. That means they already want to do it. But the reason why they're not doing it is because they know they will not be caught. This means most couples will cheat on their partner. And that means the only reason why they are not cheating now is simply because of the fear of being caught. It's simply because of the fear of being caught. If they will not be caught, they will, because they are predisposed to polygamy. In the last 20 years, the rate of infidelity among married women have increased by 40%. And this has been partly attributed to a number of reasons, like busy partner, traveling partner, lack of sexual satisfaction by their husband. 40%. It has increased by 40%, infidelity among married women, because the husband are not always around. The husband are busy making money. They are not always around. In fact, I heard of a case it was in the US. The man is a trucker, and because a trucker is always traveling to deliver stuff, because he owns the truck he drives, and the wife has been complaining. One day, he came back quite early than usual, and he met a man with the wife. And the man told him, he said, "I'm helping you because you're not always available." The man was so frustrated, he went to meet a counselor, and the counselor said, "You caused it. You caused it. Because you're not always around." That's not to justify what the woman did, but you push the woman to it. And this is conversation we don't have among Christians. It's a Christian brother is married, is not available for the wife, and is shocked that the wife is being promiscuous. It's a Christian wife and is married and is always tired, not available for the husband, and is shocked that the husband is promiscuous. If you are not ready for this, there's no point getting married. Also, 43% of cheating women and 22% of cheating men have cheated on a person that they both know. So husband is cheating, 43% of women and 22% of men are cheating on a person that their husband or wife know. And this could be their house boy or house girl. It could be their best man or chief bridesmaid, someone very close. And 43% of women are cheating on someone very close to their husband. 20% of men are cheating on someone very close to their wives. Also, 72% of cheating men did it in a one-night stand. One-night stand. That means just once. It just happened once. And never with that person again. While 53% of cheating women cheated doing a one-night stand also. A one-night stand or a one-night sex is a single sexual encounter in which there is an expectation that there shall be no further sexual relationship between them. No further sexual relationship between them. No further sexual relationship between them. Also, 54% of respondents of this research went through breakup not long after they admitted to their spouse about cheating on them. Can you see that? Those that admit, 54% of those that admit to their spouse of cheating on them went to break up not long after that. 30% stated that they tried to continue together after cheating incidents, but they eventually broke up. Only 15% of respondents stated that they are still together with their spouse, even though they have confessed to their spouse that they cheated. So in this research, those that cheated, 54% broke up afterwards. Not so within a short period. 30% broke up after some time. They could not continue again. And 15% are those that could continue. That's why I said, look, adultery is real. Adultery is real. If you want to get married, just accept that your husband or wife might cheat on you. And if it happens, be willing to accept. If you are not going to be able to accept it, don't go in so you don't kill yourself. You don't give yourself emotional trauma. Look, forget about the fact that you are born again, you are Christians. I'm not disputing the fact that this is a reality. I'm not disputing the fact that this is a reality. But also remember, you are a man. If you have not put safeguard in place, you are predisposed to this problem. If you have not put safeguard in place, you are predisposed to this challenge. If you have not put safeguard in place, you might get caught up in this problem. If you have not put safeguard in place, you might get caught up in this problem. If you have not put safeguard in place. If you have not put safeguard in place, you must put safeguard in place. You must put safeguard in place. And many have not heard about some of these things. Like, these are issues, like I often talk to young people that want to get married. You must discuss the issue of sex. 5 major things that break marriage. I've mentioned it several times in this program. Number 1 is communication. How do you communicate? When you have misunderstanding, how do you settle it? How do you ensure that there's no communication breakdown? You must be deliberate about the fact that there's no communication breakdown. You must be deliberate on how to resolve issues. Number 2, you must discuss the issue of sex. If any of you is already sexually active, you must discuss how far he has gone and what will be the best preference. And if you are not okay with the preference, please pull out. Number 3, you must discuss the issue of money. How you want to spend money. We've discussed that extensively in this program. Number 4, you must discuss the issue of third party involvement, visit, incursion. And lastly, unrealistic expectation. You must discuss these things. You must discuss, recently a lady, someone sent, and I must thank that person. A lady was having a challenge with her relationship. And someone told her to chat me. And I sent her the playlist of all this. If you are joining us for the first time, the playlist of this program is on SoundCloud. The playlist is on, and the video is on YouTube also. The video is on YouTube. The playlist is on SoundCloud. And by playlist on SoundCloud, what I mean is the whole episode. We are on episode, I think 17 or 18. And the whole is on SoundCloud. We might be going to up to episode 25. The whole are on SoundCloud. The whole of them are on SoundCloud. Now, this person chatted me and I sent it to her. When he listened to the 4th one, she had to call. She needed us to talk. And we spoke at length. She's at a junction. She could see some, last week we discussed pointers. By pointers, I mean red flag. Things you see in the guy or lady you want to marry that you know that you can't go ahead again. And some of this lady, a number of the red flags were just obvious. Sometimes the challenge of the lady is that she's a bit old. I think she's in her late 30s. So she's a bit concerned about not going ahead. And I can understand. But I told her, look, we must understand the fact that if God allowed more women to be in the world than men, That for me is a sign that not everybody will get married, number one. The people that taught us more about marriage in the Bible, for those of us that are Christian, Paul and Jesus never married. But we are reading their writing, and they had a fulfilling ministry. In fact, that the fact that they didn't marry. So meaning marriage is not a prerequisite for a fulfilled life or a successful life or accomplished life. We must settle some things in our mind so that it becomes easier for you to be able to deal with issue of delay marriage or delay your relationship, so that you don't get worried or disturbed just because you're having delay. And because what that does is it makes you to be under pressure to want to do, even when you can see the sign, you still want to go ahead. Why? Because you're under pressure, because you believe you must marry. And people are even say, maybe because maybe you are possessed, or you have spiritual husband, or you have a spiritual problem. That's when we attribute so many issues to what we have no business getting to. How on earth do you say someone have an issue, challenge with spiritual challenge, that's why it's not getting married? Whereas there are people in this world who choose not to get married. Is it that those people also have a problem and they choose not to get married? This study was conducted on 2,000 respondents who have cheated on their spouses. World Population Review showed that Nigeria is among the top 10 countries with the highest rate of infidelity among couples in the world. Nigeria have about 218 million cases of infidelity per annum. 218 million cases of infidelity per annum. 218 million cases, according to statistics, of infidelity per annum. This is small when compared to what the younger generation are going to be doing. You see these younger people? You see this thing? It's small, very small, compared to what these younger people are going to do. These younger people, hey, Lord have mercy. You don't want to have an idea of how terrible they will live sexual-wise. Because to them, sex is nothing. They don't see it as anything. They don't see it as anything. So they live their life just the way they think. And the more that happens, the more marriage breaks up. Look, if you think we are having a lot of issue of divorce today, for every 8 marriages today, 4 to 5 divorce happen. For every 8 marriages. And within a few years of marriage, 4 to 5 happen. In 1960, only 1 out of 8. In today's world, it's about 4 to 5. And it's going to increase. I don't know if churches are prepared for single mothers. I don't know how many churches are prepared to handle single mothers. We're going to have a lot of single mothers on our hands. We're going to have a lot of single mothers on our hands. And we must be ready to accommodate them and show them love and support them. But it's going to happen. It's already happening, actually. It's already happening, actually. So the issue of adultery is even getting worse in a country like US, because now US have introduced what is called polyamory or polyamorous. What's polyamory? Polyamory is a marriage arrangement in which both husband and wife agree to have friends with benefit. To have friends with benefit. Both of you are aware that you have friends with benefit, and you even know those people that your husband or wife is sleeping with. So in the US, polyamory means as a husband, I will have side chicks, and my wife is aware I have side chicks. And as a wife, you will have your own sugar daddy or mommy or boyfriend or man friend or whatever you call it. And your husband is aware that you have that side hustle or side dude or whatever you call it. So that means husband and wife are married, and they agree that they are both going to have what they call friends with benefit. That means sexual partners outside their marriage. It's already, some states in the US have approved it, as in by law. So there's no issue. This to tell you the future we are going into. It doesn't appear we are ready for the future we are going into. Because the way, particularly those of us that are Christian and doing things, we are not preparing young people for this challenge, discuss this issue. You know, all these ones, sometimes we want to do program for boys and girls, we'll be separating them when we are talking about sexual issues. I don't understand what we are hiding. Look,
These are things these girls and boys are aware of already. So what are we hiding? There's nothing to hide. Lay it bare and let them know the implication of their action as human beings. When you know the implication of what you are doing, when you know the implication, you are more cautious. But when nobody is educating you, and all they are saying is that you will go to hell if you do this, you will go to hell if you do this, you will go to hell. You know, some people don't mind going to hell nowadays. Some people will tell you hell will be interesting. There's Michael Jackson in hell. There is so and so in hell. You'll be shocked at what people are saying about hell. So to those younger generation, they don't even care about this thing we are talking about again. They don't even talk. So until we begin to let them see that Christianity is not a religion, that is a way of life, and that keeping yourself is a duty you owe to yourself to preserve your family, your relationship, and your marriage, and that this thing have implication in future, so that they know that if I do this thing, this is the implication for my life and for my future. So they now know that those principles or recommended way of life by Christ are for their own good. So when I talk to people about, I am of the Christian faith, for those that might not be Christian here, when I talk to people about Christ, I don't paint Christ as religion. I paint Christ as someone who has come to teach us how to live the best kind of life. So when he says, don't do this, or this is not okay for you, it's not because of him. Forget about hell. Because if we use that argument, some people will even prove to you they don't believe in hell. Can we begin to have conversation around how this thing benefits you? This is why people backslide. When people backslide as Christians, anybody that backslide as Christian is an evidence that it does not know that Christianity is a way of life and is for his own benefit. He thinks he's a Christian to be able to help someone, his father, his mother, his sibling, his uncle, his pastor, whoever it is. So polyamory is now official in the US. It's now official in the US. What they are now saying is that let us come together and normalize this issue and stop doing it in secret. So some states in the US have approved this practice. Some cities in California, for example, some cities in like New York, for example, some cities like Massachusetts, for example, have approved polyamory. Polyandry was being practiced among some tribe in northern Nigeria until 1968. There is this particular tribe in northern Nigeria called Irigwe. Irigwe people practice more polyandry. Polyandry is a woman marrying more than one husband. Irigwe people practice, it was 1968 that it was abolished, it was outlawed. The Irigwe people are found mainly in Basa local government area of Plateau State in the Middle Belt Center of Nigeria. There are people today who have inclination towards same sex, but because the society will not accept them, so they marry a man, they marry a woman as a shield, but they still go ahead and sleep with the same sex rather than sleep with their wife or with their husband. I will stop here today and I will complete this next week. Remember, we're discussing this issue, the issue of promiscuity in marriage. Thank you very much for joining today. Let me hear from you. What have you learned? And let me know if you have a question. Number one on my list is Chioma. Chioma, how are you? Good evening. Hello, Chioma. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you hear you? Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah. Okay, I did join on time, but with what I had, okay, I think during this week, I was actually thinking about something like this.
Okay.
I really don't know why, but the Spirit just brought something, and I was now wondering, like, people that get to, because, okay, my elder brother is about to get married. I just asked him, I was like, why do you really want to get married? Like, is it because of the sex or all that? But though he's yet to give me an answer, though. I've not really been online, so I didn't really.
You asked him,
I've
is it
not
because of
started
what?
to ask him. I asked him why does he really want to get married. To me, I just believe that people get married because of sex. And then I
You're right.
asked that after the sex and of children,
Particularly
what
Christian.
else?
Particularly Christian. That's one of the reasons why some of them get married.
Yes, what else? I've been asking myself this, and I was like, okay, I'm going to wait to today's class. I'll make sure that I attend and ask you the question because to me, I don't know why. When I ask people and they're like, why are you thinking something like that? I'm like,
Sorry, I didn't get that.
I
What was the
haven't
question you
gotten
asked
it.
people?
Why that? What do you want? What do you want in marriage? Like after marriage, what else? And they say
Yes.
sex.
Many people can
After
answer
the
that
sex,
question.
else?
Many
What?
people can answer that question. Very correct.
Many people don't answer the question, and to me, I don't know it yet. I don't know it. So it's more of the best reason why I am not ready to go into a relationship. That I don't want to even go into a relationship because I don't know the reason why I want to get married.
Hmm.
And yes, I don't know the reason why I want to get married. Because what do I want to do after sex? You know, like, is it that I don't like sex or I hate men? I don't hate men. I don't have anything like they've not done anything to hurt me or anything. But after that sex, what else? That question, I have not answered the question. So it's the more reason why I haven't gone into any
So
relationship. And I don't want to.
one in
Like,
the series, I would drop a link. You're on the WhatsApp group, right?
yes, please.
I'm going to drop a link
Yes, I
for
am.
you. I'm going to drop a link
Okay.
for you. And the link actually talk about the purpose. The purpose.
Okay.
I'm dropping the link on the group now. I'm sending that link to the
Okay.
WhatsApp group now so that you can understand why, what should be my reason for getting married. And it's good you define this very well. I'm going to drop it. Maybe you can listen to it and then you can ask me questions privately afterwards. I've dropped it on the group.
Okay. All right. Thank
All
you,
right.
sir.
All right. Yes. Elijah Fatoye. Elijah, good evening. Hello, Elijah. I can't hear you. Hello, Elijah. Can you hear me?
I can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you now. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello.
Oh, can anybody hear me, please? It's like Elijah is not hearing me.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Elijah, maybe you should drop your stuff on the
Can you
chat.
hear me? I can't hear you.
I can hear you loud and clear. I
You
can hear
sure?
you loud and clear. Okay, Emmanuel.
All right.
Okay, Elijah, go ahead.
Okay. For me, during the presentation, I was just telling myself, more happen for this life.
You know what? I didn't get that.
And then during the presentation, I was telling myself that things are happening in this life.
Yeah.
But then, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Hello, can you still hear me? I can't
Go ahead.
hear
Go
you.
ahead. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, God.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. This is just
Elijah, just continue talking. Don't worry.
All right. So I was saying that during the presentation, I was just telling myself that things are happening in this life, like the things you are saying and all that. Yeah. But the truth is that they are actually the reality of what we face in marriage. Well, I'm not married yet. Hopefully, by God's grace, very soon I'll get married too. For the question that Chairman asked, I see that some people trivialize that aspect. I hope I can still be heard. I hope you can
I
still
can
hear
hear
me.
you. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. So I see that some people trivialize that aspect, like, okay, why do you marry after sexlessness? But the thing is that for Christians, it is actually very important. In fact, it is one of the primary reasons why the Bible recommends marriage. I think I think it was, yes, it was even Paul that said it directly, that to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife and every
Yeah.
woman have her own
Yeah.
husband. Yes. So it is not something that one should trivialize, because it means that in the other way around, if we are going to read it the other way around, it means that to the other way around now, to commit fornication, nobody should marry. But then I also discovered that marriage aspect alone does not solve the aspect of fornication or adultery now in this sense, adultery,
Yeah. Yeah.
like you said. And sincerely, I don't know what to blame, but it's good you actually mentioned some of the reasons why, like not being there for each other. I usually see or I hear of some couples that are separated from each other either because of work or studies or different things. And then I begin to ask myself, how do they cope? Well, some people might cope. Maybe they don't have it does not move them. Some people might just be like Paul the Apostle. Yes. But that will only work if the two partners are in that line. But if one of them or the two of them they actually see it as a big deal, like their sexual life being a big deal, I usually become skeptical when I hear of them separating for work or something. So that's one of the reasons why, for me, at least, it's a principle for me that once I'm married, there's no separation whatsoever. Anywhere I'm going, she's following me. By the grace of God. So overall, is a good exposition, and I learned one or two things from there. And also the aspect where you said the difference between adultery and
Infidelity.
infidelity. Yeah, adultery and infidelity. I was like, wow, I never thought of it this way. So I would say it's a good one. Well done, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Emmanuel Ate. Hello, Emmanuel. Good
Okay,
evening.
thank you very much, sir. Yes, good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. I am really honored to be in attendance today, although there were a lot of network issues and some other interruptions.
Can you bring your voice closer to your mic? Your voice is not clear. We can hear you, but it's not clear.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. I say good evening to everyone and good evening to you, sir. I'm honored to be in attendance today, though there were lots of distraction and network issues. So, but I gained a few points here. And the one that struck me is Christianity is not just religion, it's a way of life. And I've been trying to, and I've been an advocate of this, that it's a way of life, religion. And until people begin to see it this way, a lot of things will still be happening, people still be misbehaving and all these things. Then also the other point you said also is that keeping yourself is for your own benefit. So that is very striking also. And the question the sister asked, trauma, I've been also, I remember I asked my cousin's brother I was having a chat with him and said, why do people get married? Is it just for this or that? But after this, what next? What will sustain the marriage after this? So those are the second question I've been thinking. And when each time my friends put up marriages and invite me for marriage, sometimes I always want to ask them, are you ready for this? Or why do you think? And some of them I even post, I wish they are here because I've been trying to send to convince them to join to join the Zoom meeting and actually learn about. I believe most of them would have a paradigm shift towards marriage. Thank you very much, sir, for what you're doing. And I want you to still encourage churches to make our youth ready for what is coming, for what is at hand before us. Because from the statistics that have been given about infidelity and promiscuity, in Nigeria, then what is happening also in the bill that has been passed in the US. So what's the position of the church in this? And preaching about hell and heaven, people are not deafening that. They're not embracing that again. They see it as kind of defeat or something until there's a change in the way church ministers to people. I don't think we can solve the problem. So you made a point when you said something about youth, like male and female or brothers and sisters, boys and girls forum, when they are discussing some salient points and they separate. It's always kind of funny. Like, why are you separating? These people, they are way too gone far beyond. They've gone far. They are a step ahead of us, and we are. What are we doing? At least we need to see how we can catch up with the youth, not doing all this because these youth they are in fact we are way ahead of the churches. So I think there's a very great need there in the church in this area of sex education. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Eunice, Julius. Eunice, Julius. Go ahead, please. Eunice, Julius, go ahead. I can't hear you. Are you talking? Unique Julius, I can't hear you. Okay, your mic is faulty. All right, all right, all right. You can drop your comment in the chat then. Toria. Toria. Toria.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. How is Ife today?
Can you hear me?
How is Oni of Ife?
It's fine, no. Everybody is fine.
All right. Go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, so for me, when you were just mentioning everything, just like I don't know, I think Elijah, you are also saying more like the 50% do this, the 70% do that, and I'm like, hey, well, I choose the call. But then, like, for me, a lot of things are actually happening when it comes to this issue of promiscuity, and I mean, it's very, very rampant. In fact, it's becoming a norm. Like it's becoming a normal thing in our society. So this session is actually one that very, very timely when it comes to the issue of relationships and marriages. And one thing that happened to that for me was when you mentioned that I can't really quote exactly how you said it, but you were trying to say that those who are like probably Christians and are currently in a relationship, something like that, you're like, if they engage in, I mean, affairs and all of that, that unconsciously paving a path actually for promiscuity in marriage.
Yes.
And that was like genge. Because at least sometimes people, individuals that are in relationships, they feel like, Shafi is just us. Anything can happen. We'll still be the ones together. We're still the ones that are still going to end up getting married and all of that. But not really considering the fact that if you're able to do this and you're not able to be faithful, even in relationship and all of that, there's every tendency that even when you get married, you still would not be faithful. For me, that stood out. Thank you very much, sir, for the analysis and all that. And then, yes, I agree with you. Women actually cheat more than men. It's just that when men cheat, they make it look like
How
a
did you
big
agree?
deal.
Why did you agree?
But then when women cheat, they hide their cheating. And they are very good at it.
All right.
Thank you very much for the session.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Seun Adewale. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for the teaching. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm actually driving, but I've been connecting to the teaching, and I think I really gained a lot today. I think marriage is more than what people think it is.
Yeah.
So by God's grace, I'm married, and it's actually the best for one to prepare very well for marriage. People don't understand the place of partnership before purpose. I mean, a purpose before partner.
Yes.
So it's actually a major challenge. I think before anyone gets into any relationship, the purpose should be clearly stated.
Yeah.
During courtship, so that there will not be issues. And then as regards the other areas, I think I learned about the need for one to be opened to the and then the issues that are happening in the world, what the US is passing through, the friends with benefits.
Yes.
All these things are things, they are pointers to the fact that anybody who wants to get into marriage must have proper scriptural, biblical purpose and understanding.
Yeah.
Before getting into marriage. So I really appreciate the teaching. Thank you. God will increase you in wisdom, understanding, knowledge, and bless you more and more. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Victoria. Victoria, long time. How are you?
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm very well, sir. How are you too, sir?
Very fine.
All right. So promiscuity. I think what actually caught my attention was the causes of let's say conflict or even breakups in marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned communication.
Yeah.
So it means that there must be a very solid way of communicating between couples, so that it will not get out of hand and result in, because sometimes some marriages actually fall apart because of piled up grudges that were not opened up. So it becomes like a poison in someone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then when it eventually explodes, it sometimes ends up as divorce. So we must ensure that, even the Bible says that we should be angry and sin not. We should not let the sun go down upon our wrath. So as couples, there must be that communication. If there's anything going on that is not right, should talk, should speak. And you have also always mentioned that whenever it's like the two partners are not mature enough to handle it, they should involve a third party, see a marriage counselor, see a pastor, someone that can help to resolve, that would help to solve the problem, not make it worse.
Yeah.
Then you mentioned sex. Sex is the second point. And then finance, you normally say no romance without finance, no romance without finance. Then last one, third parties. Yeah, third parties, family members. When should they come in? How should they come in? How long? So for me, I don't know. Maybe because I've not heard this part before, but for me, I'll just reiterate this part. And you mentioned also that premarital sex actually predisposes people to adultery or infidelity
Yeah.
when they get married.
Yeah.
So must watch out and involve our partners, take necessary precautions so that it's not be our lot. Thank you so much,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Dele. God
Thank
bless you.
you. Senator
You're
Victor.
welcome.
Senator Victor. Senator
I'll
Victor.
read it now.
Good evening, sir.
Long time. I always put you last because I know you always have plenty questions for me.
I was wondering too that I don't know going to come into the
No, I know you have a lot of. Let me put last so that when you begin to ask your question.
Wow. Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for today. And I have a couple of questions and will also say comments too. Yeah, you discussed quite a number of things, although I didn't get the first thing that you said about Elijah saying the difference between adultery and fornication. I don't think I remember.
No, between adultery and infidelity.
Okay, adultery and infidelity. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think I got that part. Maybe I will go and listen. I don't think
just one of infidelity is more than adultery. Adultery is the physical act. Infidelity, even in the emotional ties, exchanging nude pictures, touching yourself when you're married, are all infidelity to your partner.
But when I'm married or another person?
When you're married. So like someone now is using sex toy and is married, that's infidelity.
Oh, okay. Okay, I understand that. Okay, so let me ask some of the question I got. I was listening about the statistics you gave about the number of men cheating, number of women cheating, and what I was able to draw from that was that when you look at the percentage of those men that have cheated or partners that have cheated, the percentage of those that are still together was extremely low.
Yes.
And because he said something that if we cannot live with it, if we cannot accept our partner, the possibility of our partner cheating on us, we should not get married. But from statistics, it has shown that even those that they were married and they was cheating, either one partner cheated on one partner one way or the other, the percentage of those together were extremely low. There's still no point to the fact that it is not better for us to put measures in place to prevent it at all, because the likelihood that anybody, because it's...
Of course, we should. But the fact, so one of the measures, sorry to cut you, one of the measures is to ensure as a man or woman, you are available for each other.
Oh, okay.
Number two, discuss it before you marry, so that if one person has some expectation because of previous experience, you can discuss if it's something you can deal with or the way you bypass those expectations, so nobody feels dissatisfied or underserved in that relationship. But we don't discuss these issues. These are issues we just leave open. And because these issues are not discussed, and we are going to still face it in the relationship.
Okay, I was even wondering that even if you discuss it with your partner, that if you cheat on him, to forgive you, does it not give another person another leeway?
When I mean discussing, is this: the fact that if you cheat, that you are going to forgive. That's a personal decision. It's not. That's not what I'm talking about. Because in discussing, I'm saying what will make you cheat will be either because you are dissatisfied sexually, or you don't even get to have it as much as you want because of your partner. So it should be discussed in courtship. How are we going to deal with this issue in this relationship? How are we going to deal with it? Do you understand?
Oh, okay.
So if a lady is already sexually active he might have been introduced to some sexual act that the guy might not want to be able to deal with. He should tell the guy. And if the guy does not know about it, then they can agree. Don't worry, I will teach you. Fine. Then we're okay to go. It shouldn't be like the guy is now seeing the lady as being, why would we be talking about this? Because I think we should be free to discuss this with each other, because if we don't discuss it, it's still going to play out at the end of the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So okay, I want to say okay. I think that's quite clear. So you also talk about, like you said, towards the ending of your presentation, you talked about like some men, there are some men that have the tendency of being attracted to another man. I'm wondering that is that really reality, or is just those kind of behavior are influenced by the certain level of exposure to some kind of content, or is it normal that just the same way?
Let me ask you, are you aware there are people who have both sexual organs? Are you aware?
Me, I've heard of it before, but I don't believe it.
You don't need to have seen it, but are you aware it happens?
Me, I doubt so. I've heard of it, yes, I've heard of it, but I don't really believe it.
If people say there are people that have come out, they have both. Now, why are you doubting? You don't need to doubt because you have not seen it. I'm just trying to tell you that the fact that if people can have both, that's a sign that something is wrong with their sexuality. So that's to let you know that something is wrong. Now, even people's Siamese twins are born. That means part of the body is joined. It's abnormal, but that's the way they were born. But the good thing is that technology has made it easier to solve some of these problems. The issue I have with those people is when you have a problem and you don't agree you have a problem and you don't want to solve it, but you want to remain like that. That's my problem with them. But to not accept that such exists, some happen because of the exposure. So maybe a boy was exposed to a male nanny who was playing with his private part, and he changed his social orientation. Or the boy was a girl who was in secondary school, was with a senior girl who was always touching her, and she got used to lesbianism as a student in secondary school. So a number of these people, some are born with some sexual disorientation because of hormonal imbalance. Some as a result of the exposure and issue that happen, abuse in growing up. But the reality is that in our society today, people have those predispositions. That's a fact. But the fact also is that there are solutions to solve it for them, to help them out of it. That many of them don't want to come out of it. They want to remain there, and they want everybody to accept them that way. That's where the problem is.
I think, yes, that's even the argument. Like, why should you, if this is that they don't see it as abnormal, they see it as that's because that's what let's say their conscious mind can remember.
Yeah. Victoria, I can see your hand. I'll come to you. Go ahead.
Okay, because I was wondering, some people may feel like this orientation is like it's just normal to me, so why should I change it? It's just the same way.
No,
like they don't.
So the argument is, if every male that tries to male, he will not be born in the first place. He wouldn't be born. He wouldn't be born because there won't be conception. So that's an evidence to show that this is really not the way it should be. So don't accept it. Rather find, it's like I have a headache. And I said, no, I'm okay with it. So that's the way I want to be. It's not, you are right that they are saying that. I'm saying that's my issue with them. You are right that this is where you are, but you are not right by saying you want to remain like that because it can be fixed. Why don't you want to be fixed?
That's true, sir. All right, sir. One more thing again, talking about some of the issues of like infidelity, or let's say adultery.
Yeah.
Then I look at it that sometimes, like, I think there was even one story recently about, I was in the news during this week, that a certain bank manager, a bank worker, was trying to have an affair with maybe a junior colleague that is a male, and the story leaked online, that kind of thing. And some of the reason is because people maybe demand is not available for her. Well, I look at it again that if we are, it's very, because sometimes I feel like sometimes it's very easy to say demand is not available. But when you check the prevailing economic circumstances, today I was also wondering, not even today, like let's say from like not just today alone, but like for the past few days or let's say few weeks now, I've been seeing the way STD has been dancing up and around, up and down. People's savings are going up in flames. That means your currency is losing value by the minute. So it's just for you to stay afloat. You just demand you that for it just naturally, especially in a country like Nigeria, it's just normal for you to want to work harder. And sometimes when you indulge, like I don't say indulge, when you are involved in one activity for a prolonged period of time, some other part of your life tend to suffer. And I think that sometimes in life is everything is about let's say how do I put it now? I feel like sometimes you cannot have your cake and eat it. So sometimes finding that balance, how realistic, especially because in Nigeria now, I also want this, even today I was like, this one that we haven't talked about marriage. I went to listen to some of the past episodes. I was like, let me go and listen to one about money, because this money aspect, I heard every day money is still part of it that can cause issues in marriage. So I feel like
We've
sometimes
discussed it now under
finances alone. Yes. Yeah, now I've wondered that sometimes like the way the economy is normally too is those are some of these factors that can actually make people or couples not being available for each other, because when you see the bills, there's inflation, the bills are increasing, and it's not how do we find this balance? Because sometimes it's
okay. So now look at it this way. You know, as human beings, we need to take a decision on the way we want to live our lives. You are right about what you said, but you can find a balance. You can find a balance. So if you get so engaged in making money, why are you making the money? It's not for the family. If you now lose the family in the process, your Bible will say, if you don't have time for the family, you can't even have a decent conversation, and you're not available at all, and you're making money, you're not balanced. So what you need to do is to find a way to do it. So if you're going to be away for long, maybe the wife will come or you will go. As in, it shouldn't be having such a long gap with each other. It's not wise. Some people are able to do it for many years successfully. I don't know where they get the grace from, but I know people that are doing it. And to some extent, I'm able to do it very well. You understand? So, but it's not a wise way to live. That's the truth. It's not a wise way to live. If you live that way, what will happen is you might end up losing one for the other, and that will not be good for your family. But the economic situation is real, is a challenge, but you can still find a way around it. So for example, if you are in different cities, maybe bringing the other to come, or okay, if you are busy during the week, maybe you're available on weekend, but just ensure you don't leave that gap too wide. And you and your wife should have this conversation so you know what works for her and works for you. And you guys can find a middle ground for the family. I feel it can be worked out. It can be discussed.
All right, sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Victoria, yes, you're raising up your hand. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. So you normally mention the fact that sometimes people that have had some previous experiences, they need to discuss with their partners.
Yes.
So I want to ask if their partners would like that particular, I don't know, like experience. I want to just understand what you mean, sir.
What I mean. So let me give you a practical example. So there's a lady who was married. He has had to experience before he got married. I think I've used this example before. There's a lady who was not married. And this lady, she had to stop this relationship because of this matter. This lady was not married. A guy proposed to her and they want to go ahead. And he told the lady she needed a particular, she want oral sex, actually, which her former boyfriend introduced her to. And she wanted, and she said she was with that boyfriend for about 5 years. She really cannot do without it. And the guy said, no, I can't do that. I mean, I'm not interested in that. I won't do that. And the lady said, okay, that's fine. I cannot marry I can't do without this in my sexual relation with my husband in marriage. And on that basis, she didn't go ahead. Now, in as much as that might look a little bit Why will you not go ahead just because of this? But that for her is a deal breaker. And it's better she doesn't go ahead and cheating on the guy because they had that conversation. She had the confidence to ask this guy. That's what I'm saying. So people, for one reason or the other, have been exposed to they have gone so deep in this issue that before they decide to retrace their step, now they are Christian, now they probably have not even done that for like 5 years, but they've had that experience and it's registered in the brain. They must discuss with this guy they want to marry. This is the experience I've had, this is what I've done, and based on the experience I've had, this is what I really would like and prefer. Is this something you're willing to do? Is this something you're willing to do? So you need to have the conversation. From the variant to style, whatever it is you guys want to talk about. The idea is this: if you don't discuss it, if in the marriage you are now trying to ask for it and the guy declined or the lady declined, it would be like the guy might be seeing the lady as a prostitute, or the lady see the guy as being promiscuous. But this is what this lady was exposed to that they never talk about. So they should talk about it. It's not a regular conversation, but it's causing big issue in relationship. So there's no point hiding behind one finger because we claim to be Christians. Does that answer your question?
Okay. Yes, sir. We generated another one. Thank you so
Go
much,
ahead.
sir.
Go ahead.
I've actually had an idea of what you were talking about, but I didn't want to.
I didn't get that.
I think I had an idea of what you were talking about, but I didn't want to be too forward.
And what do you mean?
I mean, when you mentioned oral sex, I want to just find out.
Yes.
Are there other ways of sexual acts? Are they biblical?
That's, someone asked me this question sometimes ago, and I told them, don't be too spiritual than the Bible. If the Bible is your standard, then don't add to it. Jesus did not say anything about this matter. So why are we telling people what to do and what not to do? How is that our business? The Bible is silent on it. Let's be silent on it. The only thing the Bible talks about is effeminate, abuser of themselves with mankind, people that sleep with animals and sleep with the same sex. That's the only one the Bible talks about. So why are we adding to what he didn't say anything about? Why is it a problem? I even heard that in some churches, they'll be advising them that there is only one style the Bible recommends, and they can't show them in the Bible where the Bible says it. I mean, for me, look, I believe as human, we shouldn't put people under rules that cannot be sustained, because rules have a lifespan. Let me tell you the way I see the Bible. When the Bible says something, I don't look at the consequence spiritually. I look at the reason behind it. I won't look at if you do, you go to hell. Because I look at what will motivate me to do this thing is when I know how it benefits me. So it has been proven medically that same sex and sleeping with animals predispose you to diseases, a lot of sicknesses. It's been proven. So there are some things that when you look at, so for example, he says don't steal or don't kill, or I think every instruction, what the Bible says we should not do as human, there are benefits to it. So it makes you to now understand that he has a good reason why. Then it becomes easier for you to. But now saying people should not do one style, they should do one style. The Bible is silent. So why do we want to control the way people live their life? The Bible is silent on it. You can't prove it in the Bible. The Bible says this is what people must do. You can't prove it. Unless we are not believing in the Bible again. If I believe in the Bible, then you can't recommend. You cannot recommend. Because if you do, you will be putting rules in place, and rules always have a lifespan. Have I answered your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So, sir, is it medically good? Are there any benefits?
Is it medically what?
Consequences. Is it medically good? Are there any benefits, consequences of other forms of sex?
Oh, okay. Now, that's now a better question. That's now a better question. Is it hygienic? Is it medically good? That is where individual should go and do the research and check. I want to do this. Is it okay? Most likely someone have done research on it and be able to educate you on it. So that's where you have to go and do research. And then know if the consequences of doing it, you are okay with it, you can afford it, then go ahead. You now know that, look, this one you're not doing it or not doing it because Bible talk about it. You are not doing it because of so and so reason, not because leave the Bible out of it. Christ is silent on it. Then let the silent on it. But like you said, is it medically good? That is what you have to check now and see for yourself if it is or not. And you can be sure there will be argument for and against. Because when we started, I don't know if you were joining then, I said, whenever anybody is doing something, and I told them that that's the reason on this platform, there is nobody is after anybody for not joining. Because it's not a church, it's not an association, it's just a platform to be able to help people live a better life. If one person join, two people join, nobody join, we go ahead and record for future use. Now, and I was trying to say that because I don't have an agenda. I was not saying that, look, every organization have an agenda, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you must know they have an agenda. If you don't know they have an agenda, either a school, a business, a religious organization, a church, a mosque, whatever it is, there is an agenda whoever is in charge want to pursue. And it will play out in whatever it is that he's doing. That's why whatever the person is now saying, you now have to check very well. What's their agenda? Is the agenda aligned with my, if it's my line, that's okay. If it doesn't, then I begin to check, okay, this is why they are saying this. Because some people will say something as if that's what the Bible said, but they can't prove it from the Bible. But they are trying to help people. Now, the people saying those things, they have a good intention, but only that their intention does not make what they are saying right and does not make them wrong afterwards. Only that the Bible is silent about it, then let be silent about it. So don't put anybody under bondage or under this that they have to do it. But in terms of checking up yourself, I think you should check up. I think you should check up and see if it's good for you before you go ahead with it. Sorry, what was the other last question you asked? I hope I've answered it. Victoria.
Yes, sir, you have. Thank you so much.
Okay, I've answered. Okay.
Sir, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for being able to make it tonight.
Well, sir, hello, sir. Hello, wait, please. I want to make comment on what you just said.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, go ahead. I remember you have made a statement about something like this before.
Okay.
And then after that meeting, I went to check up some things.
Okay.
On the biblical implications of different types of cells.
Okay.
What I found out was that there are some places in the Bible where the Bible is not necessary, it is silent, but you can see it there. Now, what I mean is this.
Okay.
If you check Songs of Solomon.
Okay.
Songs of Solomon, people have been attributing it to have a relationship between Christ and the church.
Okay.
Yes, quite all right. But if you read in between the lines, the metaphor that Solomon used, you will understand that it is actually deeper than what we are seeing actually.
Yes.
Now, let me start from one part of sex, like anal sex.
Yes.
Well, for me, I believe it is wrong in the Bible.
No, that is what the gay do. That's the challenge of gay. That's gay. Those are the things that gay do.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Now, wait, let me
already, hold on, Elijah. I excluded two people already. And the gay and those sleeping with animals. I already excluded those ones when I started. Maybe you didn't hear me when I said that.
Yeah.
I already excluded that.
I got you quite all right. No, but you know, there are some couples that is male and female that engage themselves in this type of anal sex. Now, looking at it from the time of Lot. Now, some people have this notion or the belief that it actually started in the time of Lot, like the Sodom and Gomorrah people.
Yes, yes.
And that is why another name, actually, the real name for sodomy, the real meaning of sodomy
Yes.
is anal sex. So if it was condemned in the Bible because God actually judged them with fire and brimstone, and in fact, the angel that God sent to them blindfolded them because of the lust in their heart. So that is the sign of condemnation. If that happens, then as Christians, I don't believe.
Elijah,
He said,
the way you are talking, you are not getting me. I'm in line with what you are saying. It's like you are talking like.
I know now, I'm just giving biblical. I understand you, sir.
Yeah, now, so
I'm just giving
you're
biblical based on my own study.
you're talking like what the Bible condemned, and I'm already in line with that. That's why I already excluded. These are practices you find for homosexual and lesbianism, and I already excluded that already.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about that. So you're talking about it. You're talking like I'm condoning it, but that's not what I said.
No. I said I just want to give my own opinion. I'm not saying you are wrong. No, I said I want to do studies.
Okay.
So I'm just giving like the results of some of the studies I went to do. I'm not saying you are wrong at all. Because you know there are some people that might be listening and they will not have the reason behind whatever we are saying.
Yes.
So that is just the reason for the condemnation behind the part of anal sex. Now, the normal heterosexual sex, that is the intravaginal sex, that one, of course, that's the only way one can fulfill the purpose of procreation.
Yes.
So it is acceptable in the scriptures. Then there's another one, oral sex. Now, from the Bible, some people say the Bible is silent about it, but actually, because I actually took time to study Songs of Solomon, and I read different versions and some commentaries and Bible illustrations and that.
Yeah.
Now, from my findings, it is actually one of the practices that Solomon engaged in, and it was recorded in the Bible, although it was done codedly. Now, when I'm trying to remember some of the passages now, I think Songs of Solomon chapter 2, verse 4 or verse 8, I'm not really sure, and some selected verses like that. It's not direct, it did not come out direct, but in the real sense, in interpretation, because if you understand metaphor, you know that they have meaning that are hidden.
Yeah.
So, and that is some of the things that I found out. So I believe, from my own findings, I believe it is not a condemnable act compared to that of sodomy, that is anal sex. Yes, I think those are the three basic. I don't know if there are anyone that aside the one I've mentioned so far.
All right, thank you.
So,
are you done?
I'm done, sir.
It's Victor.
Yes,
Victor, go ahead. Hello, Victor.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, sir. Just to continue from where exactly last stop, but something since you was talking about sex and some of the things that was condoned in the Bible or not. Sometimes, especially in the Old Testament, there's this. Okay, I want to talk about like the issue of like contraceptive and all of that. Is it really right or wrong? And what does the Bible say about it? Part of the contraceptive measure is withdrawal method, and there was a particular account in the Bible that a particular, I can't just remember the passage, but a particular man had a brother, the husband died, so the way it was then is that either one of the siblings will like or let's say inherit the wife so as to produce seed. So and there was this account that when the man went into the woman so as not to produce the seed, he spilled it out and God like judged him. So I'm now wondering that how do you, so in terms of contraceptive, how do we balance it, or is it that that form of contraception is abominable? How do we make sense of that in
Please,
general?
can I come in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I come in, please?
Go ahead.
Yes, Victor, I know that particular passage very well. Well, what I believe, number one, the reason why the brother was told to, it was actually a commandment, actually, that he should go into his wife and produce seed. Now, he now spilling it out is the act of disobedience. And that was the reason why he was judged, not because he actually spilled it out for contraception. He actually disobeyed for not, because the reason why he was told is to produce seed. And you now going against it is an act of disobedience. Now that's number one. Number two, that time they were to multiply. That was the commandment, be fruitful and multiply, because there is still much space on the earth that needs to be covered. God said, replenish the earth. That must cover everywhere. So, and that's why you see people, what is the name now? Jacob giving birth to 12 children, and then some of those incidences like that. Now, I don't think contraception was ideal then because of the need for multiplication and replenishment. Now, compare it to our time, everywhere is choked, everywhere is jam-packed, there's no space. People are even complaining that the number of food that Mother Earth is producing might not be able to go around. It's actually not going around because there are people that are living in abject poverty on Earth. So I believe, compared then to our own time, birth control is actually very important.
All right, thank you.
Nobody wants to give birth to 50 children in this kind of material. So thank you.
All right, thank you. So, I align with Elijah's thought. Are you okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm good.
All right, thank you very much, everyone. See you next week. We'll be doing part 2 of this. Have a wonderful weekend and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.